With this other outfit, if you have $200,000 in debt and $2 million renewals, they're going to send you a bill for $200,000, and they're going to tell you you have 90 days to pay them the $200,000 back to them. If you do not pay within 90 days, they're going to seize your $2 million in renewals. It all comes back to them.
We're coming back to you guys with the Insurance Man podcast. We're excited to be back. Today, we've got one of the best in the entire industry, someone that I love talking to every time I get a chance, Mr. Ted Wilson. How you doing today?
Man, Adam, I'm doing great. Let me tell you, man, I talk to a lot of insurance agents, but I got goosebumps here being on here with you because I have such immense respect for you. I know your personal journey through this industry. Of course, we partner with the same home office, and I see your numbers, and I'm just honored, and I have so much respect for you for being on here today. Just a delight to be with you this afternoon, brother.
You've been in the industry now for quite some time. What year did you originally get licensed?
I got my insurance license when I was 18 years old in 1991. I graduated high school in 1990, Sumter High School Gamecocks right here in South Carolina. And I went and I took the insurance test, didn't really know what I was doing. And to be honest with you, my heart wasn't really in it. My dad said, this is something that you should look into and something you should go do. And I went and took the test and passed it the first time with flying colors. So I had an insurance license at 18 years old, 18. And now my dad, Ted Wilson Sr., he started selling insurance in 1972. He saw an ad in the paper. My mom and dad just got married. They were pregnant with me. And my dad was making $7,000 a year as a school teacher. He went to school to be a school teacher. And he picked up a newspaper ad. And the ad said that he can make $40,000 between June and like September, the summer months, selling life insurance. So he answered that ad, and it's been lights out ever since. He never looked back. He made something like $60,000, and boom, of course, all his friends and my mom, everybody thought he was crazy. He's selling life insurance. What? He's been doing this since 72. He worked on a debit, Adam, and that's real man work. What we do is hard, but running a debit, for those agents that don't know and all the agents that will see this, if you're my age, I'm 52 now, but if you're my age, you can remember back when I was a kid, 7 or 8, my dad used to come home with this leather bag and had all these files in it. And he had all these ink pens in his pocket. There was no bank draft back in those days. He was collecting money from clients and selling at the same time. So that's how he cut his teeth in the business. And of course, he did that for 9 years. Then he started UBI in 1981. And what a lot of people don't know, in 81, our name, Universal Benefits, Adam, we sold every product under the sun. We were like a lot of IMOs are today. We sold whole life. He was selling term, universal life. He was doing payroll deduction. He was doing health plans. It was like universal. But then he started narrowing his focus down to a couple of things, and now we're doing the final expense thing. We've been doing the final expense thing for several years, but back to me, I got my license in 1991 straight out of high school. And as soon as I got my license, Adam, I think I went and I got a job as a waiter because I was still in college. I was still living at home. I had a girlfriend at the time, and there was no burning desire for me to go out here and make all this money. I did nothing with them from 91 to 94, nothing at all. I was just licensed. I have a love for what I do now. It's not just the money, but I really do love it. If I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, I would probably be maybe a veterinarian. I love animals. Or I would probably be doing something with farming. I love stuff like that. Or I would probably own maybe like a hardware store or something like that. It's somewhere fall in there. When I was going to college, I was working at Quincy Steakhouse. I worked there for a long time, so I was just broke as broke could all be. And I had an old Chevrolet pickup truck. Let me tell you the story. It was a 91. but I bought it in 1994. Man, the classic body style, the big old tires on it. It was my first 4-wheel drive truck. And my truck payment at that time was $350 a month.
Yeah.
And I kept going to my dad every month. I would never go in the office. Like I said, I was licensed. I would never go in the office. And the only time he would ever see me was when I needed to borrow some money in the office. And I would always go down at him. And I remember those days, like, it was so crazy. I would always ask him for about $200. I was like, man, I'm a little short on my truck payment, and I don't want to miss my payment. And he was like, how much do you need? It was always like about $200, right?
Yeah.
So one day I went down there, and he said, hey, look, now I'm giving you money to pay this truck, and you're my son, but let me show you something. You're walking around with a ton of money in your pocket right now. You just don't know it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, you got an insurance license, man. You got an
Yeah.
insurance license. He said, I will pay this payment for you if you do something with me for 2 weeks. I was like, okay, all right, deal. And Adam, I remember at that time, our office was much smaller, and we had our storeroom where we kept all our applications and stuff. I walked in there and opened the door, and Adam, I promise you, stacked to the ceiling, we had all these little pink cards. They were pink and some of them were green. Looked like Christmas ornaments, right? And I was like, what is this stuff? My dad said these are leads. Because, at that time, we didn't have the technology. They weren't coming through the computer. They were all masked, mailed back to our office and everything, the actual lead itself. And so he took me out. And I watched him do these presentations. I knew the concept of what we were doing.
Yeah.
So we went out, and Adam, we worked probably we started, first house was 9:00. I'll never forget the first house we went to. Real nice lady. She had high blood pressure. She was taking insulin. And we went to that house. We wrote a $70 sale or something like that. Then we went to the next house. A couple of people weren't home. Then we went to a couple more houses, and we sat down, did presentations, and did sales. And back then, Adam, this was before you got to Lincoln. So my dad said, okay, all right, partner, here's what's going to happen. He said, I need you to sign your name here on the bottom line. So I signed my name. He was like, here, put your code number here. Put my code number there. And he said, go drop this in the mail. So back then, those days, we had to take the apps, put them in UPS, and overnight them to home office. And then, not the next day, but the day after, a check would be back at the office, a paper check, right?
Yeah.
So a check comes back, Adam, for $1,800. And I was like, what, $1,800? What? And I'm like, what, 24, 25 years old? And I looked at my dad. I was like, man, how come you didn't tell me this a lot sooner? I was like, bro, how come you didn't tell me? Like, we finished working all that week, and I've never looked back since then. Life insurance business has been really good to me, and I've been basically a lead runner from 94 till about 2006. I was running leads because I was so happy with just the money I was making. Man, I'm here in Sumter, South Carolina, at that time making $80,000 to $150,000 a year. That's like crazy money for around here, right? For a young person, running leads all over South Carolina, right? But I wasn't interested in building anything till about 2 years before you got there. I was just out in the field running leads every day, knocking doors, running leads, running leads. So that's my story. I have cut my teeth in the field. Now, a little bit before then too, as I was working leads in the field, I was also working our mail room. I started at the bottom in the office. I was working the mail room and doing all that kind of stuff, dispersing leads out to agents and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I got my start in the business.
We would get the leads mailed to us, and then I'd have to scan them and fax them to agents, email them out and all stuff. And I remember when the portal came around, I was super pumped, right? We don't got to distribute leads like that anymore.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about the pink leads, because I've heard about them a little bit.
They look like pink raffle tickets. You ever seen what a pink or a yellow raffle ticket look like?
Yeah.
It was just like a pink looking raffle ticket. The person had their name, their phone number. They wrote in their age on it. Okay. And then boom, it was just like a real simple a lead card. Back then, the lead, Adam, it was like generic. We had them by the tons. The response was just through the roof.
What kind of conversion were you guys seeing on those out of curiosity? You remember it
Oh
like
man, there 40%. In 94, 95 back then, market wasn't nearly as saturated it is now. So the return was high and the conversion was really high with them too, back in those days.
you guys have such an awesome group. I see a lot of things that you guys do online. You
Right.
guys are constantly giving away vacations, cars, and like what are maybe some things that you've learned since coming from not just being an agent, but then becoming a manager?
You just used a great word, Adam, that a lot of people don't understand. Culture. We try to create a family-like positive culture because Adam, what we do, man, is really hard. And I don't care what insurance agents say, whether they're selling term, Medicare, or final expense. I see some agents online saying, oh, final expense, that's the toughest sale. All of it is hard work. It's hard work. But having a great culture of success and support. And Adam, one of the big things I truly believe in, and I know going from an agent to getting in management and building an agency is 93, 94% of agents out there, they're going to fail if they aren't a part of a company with a great culture of support and being positive, because it can be tough. And it really hurts me, Adam, just seeing in the business today, in our industry, you got guys like me and you who will take a hands-on approach to train someone and to put in and develop them and to have them part of a positive culture, where a lot of agents now, they just want to sit at home and their manager is here or there. They never meet them. They never talk to them. And it's just sad to see that. But at UBI, we try to thrive and we try to grow a great positive culture. And we try to reward our agents for a lot of hard work.
You see the numbers they're putting up, right? You have so many agents that are absolutely killing it, not only showing their numbers, showing their income, right? It's exciting, right? To just see people win. I know it excites you to see people win, no matter which agency they're working for, which company. It's always good. Are you guys still doing your guys' boot camp too?
So every agent that comes in, and your organization and my organization, I believe it's a lot alike, where you finance leads. We finance leads too. Instead of you reaching in your pocket and getting $700, $800, $1,500, couple $1,000 to buy leads, and you figure it out, what we will do, if you come to our boot camp, a 3-day boot camp, we're going to start you off on how to sell final expense and market it the right way. And sometimes we move our boot camp around. We have one boot camp in South Carolina every month, 1 week out of the month. And sometimes we'll move it around to New Jersey. Sometimes we'll be in Georgia. Sometimes we'll be in Maryland where the agents are, and we'll set up there. And it's like a 3-day training, an intense training, a university style training of how to sell final expense the correct way. And once they complete that boot camp, then we do all the lead financing. We put the leads in their hand, and somebody will go out and ride along with them and keep them going. That's pretty much how it works.
So it doesn't just stop there then. You put them in the car. They're going to have a manager that's going to be working alongside them, or a trainer that's going to be helping them.
Yes, sir. And we believe, Adam, that's what keeps our persistency pretty good. I've seen just through experience, when agents call me and say, I don't need any training, I just want the leads. I already know what's going to happen when a guy or a lady calls you up on the telephone. The first thing I ask, what's your leads cost? One. And okay, I don't need any training. How good are your leads? Okay. And then boom, just give them to me. And I've been burned with that before, meaning, okay, this guy sounds good. He's got experience. Okay. You give them 20, 25 leads and they don't close one. They say, oh, your leads suck. They can be the web leads where the person just called today. So it's not an excuse of, oh, this is 6 months old. These are brand new leads, right? But they don't understand the concept and they don't know how to market them. And so people like that are just looking for what I call lay down sales, somebody just ready to buy at that time. But what the boot camp does, it really teaches the agent how to go through a presentation, how to hear the client's needs, and how to go through a presentation of their needs, and then the service that we offer with our final expense program. With us, Adam, coming out of our boot camp, you should be able to close a minimum of 25% of your leads coming out of the boot camp.
Yeah. If you're not doing that, it's not the leads, right? It's
No,
real
man.
simple.
No.
You can look around and we've got guys that are doing even obviously like you guys, there's a lot of people that are closing much higher than that, but there's a skill that comes with that. A lot of
Right.
people just say, oh, I sold here or I did this. And I fall
Yeah,
for it
right.
just like you have, where it's, okay, this
Right.
guy's going to sound great and he doesn't need a
Yeah.
lot of training, and they go out and fall on their face. And this is a
And they
little
blame
bit
the
different.
lead.
Yeah. And it's never the lead's fault. We all have
No.
areas where we've gotten beat up here and there, but
Yeah.
if you're not converting at least 25%, and a lot of the skilled agents are doing quite a bit higher than
Right.
that. But they're also working referrals or talking to
Right.
neighbors.
Adam, I can tell you here on tape today, and you can keep this tape forever. I've been doing this since 91. I actually started in the field in 94. And I swear to you, Adam, I have never, and I've challenged agents to this. I'll bet you $100 to $1,000. I could give you 20 fresh leads or 25 fresh leads. You will come back with 4 to 5 sales minimum every time. One guy almost won the money from me one time in my whole career. You know what he did? He went on his 19th lead and he didn't get a sale. He was going on his very last one. He got 5 sales in one house. If you are knocking the doors, if you are contacting and seeing people, if I give you 20 leads, if you get 20 leads at UBI, just like I know if you get them at GM, if you get 20 leads with us, you're going to come back with 4 to 5 sales if you hit every one of those doors and do some presentation. Agents got to understand that if you come out of that boot camp, we're going to get you trained. It's just about you putting in the time and the work.
We built my agency, same thing, door knocking. Do you have different managers or different people that are training a little bit different?
Most of the new people we encourage them to go straight to the door. But now as our agents are getting seasoned, some will call and make appointments. Yeah, they will call and make the appointment. And then some of them are what I call hybrid. Like one of the really successful gentlemen with your group, I won't call his name, but he told me a long time ago what he does. He's a door knocker, but he will call and make an appointments in that area. And then he'll go see his set appointments in a certain zip code or that certain area. Then he'll door knock all around that. And so some of our agents do the same thing.
Like your dad told you, right? Like you're walking around with all this money in your pocket and you don't know it. And like when I started, it was a matter of survival. And it was like, hey, people are winning here, right? It's not a question of can you win here? How are they winning, right? How do I duplicate that success?
That's right. One phrase that I really believe in, a quote, and I think Woody Allen said it. I can't take credit for it, but it's so true if you're thinking about it in our business. 80% of winning is showing up. 80% of winning. You got to show up every day. And I preach that to agents. 80% of this is showing up.
Yeah.
Okay. Every single day. Now I did get that work ethic from my dad. If you don't show up, Adam, I love to fish and hunt, right? And the old saying go, you will never catch that trophy bass if you don't go. You got to go. You got to put your pole in the water, right? If you never go, you can dream all day about catching all these fish or whatever. But if you're not showing up at the lake, or if you ain't showing up at the pond, you're not going to catch them on your couch, brother.
Yeah.
You ain't going to do that. So 80% of winning is showing up.
What does your main role look like at UBI? I know you're the president of UBI, but what does that entail for you on a daily, weekly basis?
I have a dual role. I deal with the day-to-day operations at UBI. We got a staff of 18. 18 at UBI, because we got a lot of agents, but we got a staff of 18. So there's daily operations there that you have to deal with. And then I have a team inside of UBI. It's like I'm JR, but at the same time, I'm part Andrew too, because Andrew has a team. Yeah. JR is the president. I have a team inside of UBI. So I have the daily operations at UBI. I deal with my division, and then I help everybody else's division in the company grow too. So you said something to me about 4 months ago, and I'll never forget what you told me. I called you up one day and you said, I asked you how you were doing, and you said, man, I'm just holding it together with duct tape. Some days, especially at the end of the month and the first of the month, it's just, it can get overwhelming. Thank God now my sister is in the business too. She's the vice president of our company, and she takes a ton of pressure off of me because it's really hard running, like I say, the day-to-day operations, dealing with the folks there, and then dealing with my division, and then I'm trying to help everybody else grow to also.
Yeah, you're
So
doing a
that's
killer
what it
job
looks like.
at it, man.
Yeah,
Learn that new hat.
yeah, it can be. I think you and I have talked too about 18-hour days.
Yeah.
Yeah, my phone, Adam, starts ringing at 7:30 in the morning, and sometimes it won't stop ringing until 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
Just doing this and doing a lot of recruiting meetings, a lot of Zooms, that type of thing. So it's a full plate.
A lot of people that decide to get an insurance, or this is one of the reasons that I think the turnover is so high, is
Yes.
that number one is it has a really low barrier to entry, right? For a couple $100 you can get licensed, and
Right.
so basically anybody can go and do it. And
Mm-hmm.
but outside of that too, is a lot of people have this misconception that I don't want to work for somebody, I want to work for myself, and that means I don't have to work. Where it's
Right.
generally
Right.
the
Right.
complete opposite of most successful entrepreneurs, whether it's insurance or not, are the people that are doing the grind day in and day out, night in and night
Yes.
out, behind the scenes. And a lot of times,
Right.
like for me, I felt like for my first 5 years, I made a lot of money and I did well, but I just still felt like I was barely keeping my head above water. Like it was like, hey,
Right.
just to get back to what I was used to making, and the IRS and all those different things can play a factor, but it was just like, I just got to find a way to keep going. And whether I
Right.
see the results, a lot of times it's not immediate, like it's going to be 60, 90 days, 6 months from
Right.
now from the
Right.
groundwork and the things that I'm doing today, right? But I have to be consistent in that effort. And I know a lot of people that operate at a high level here, they do that, and a lot of people don't always see that. They see the
Right.
success, they see
Right.
the cars, they see you flying private, they see all
Yes.
these, all
Yeah.
these beautiful things, but they
Yeah.
don't know all the sacrifices and that have gone into it. And but the cool thing is with the industry
Yeah.
is if you're dedicated to the process and you're willing to give it the time,
Yeah.
really, it's the opportunity's huge. The
It
opportunity.
is. And I think from what I've seen of you, you have a very supportive spouse. And that's really important. That's something I tell agents. Whether you're building or whether you're working as just an agent on your own pen, man, you're going to need a strong support system from home. And I've always had that. You seem to have that.
Mhm.
And that does make it a little bit easier. But like you said, it's a lot of sacrifice. Um, when I first got married in 2009, my wife and my mother-in-law, they just thought I was just Ted, the final expense guy. You just go out at 9, you're back home about 6 or 7. They didn't understand why I would be on the road and getting these hotel rooms and having meetings and and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But see, yeah, now they totally get it now. My wife, she totally gets it. When I have to go on the road 3 or 4 days a week, I got to go to New Jersey the first week of November. I got to go to Atlanta next week. It's no big deal. She knows what it requires, the
Mhm.
sacrifice it requires to grow a company and grow a business. So yeah, it's a sacrifice. That's a great word that agents need to understand. Like you said, they see the Bentleys, they see the private jets, they see people sitting on the yachts and or at the beach, or they see the incredible home I saw that you built there, but they don't see the sacrifice behind all of it.
Hey, my
Yeah,
wife, I definitely wouldn't be here without her support. It was a lot of times, even when I first started, she's like, go to one more house. I've been out here all day. It's 7:30,
yeah,
8 o'clock. It's dark and
yeah,
haven't sold
yeah,
anything. One house turns into three, and it ended up making two or
yeah,
three $1,000 at those last couple doors. It's
yeah,
definitely important. I think that's huge. It will definitely help your longevity. And the other thing is the more you sacrifice, especially your first couple years, the harder you work, the more time and freedom you'll have later on in this business.
yeah. Oh, Adam, listen, I'm a living witness to that. Now, this may sound bad, but I'm going to say it. When I was younger, when I was 12, 11, 12, 13, 14, I barely saw my dad. I barely saw him. I only saw him, I saw my dad Friday to Sunday. Now, I saw him every morning when I was going to school, but he missed a lot of football games. He missed baseball games. When I think back now, the sacrifice that he made, missing a lot of my childhood growing up, but see, we can spend all the time in the world together now. And
Yeah.
it's been like that really for the last 20 years. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you're right about that. The sacrifice that you may miss a few things on the front end, and if you're consistent with it, you can spend all the time in the world with your family. Once you get it rolling, you get it built. Yeah. I think people really need to understand that.
Same thing, like when my kids were young, I
Right.
missed a lot of birthdays, a lot of stuff, and I'd always tell my wife, like, it's going to be worth it, right? Now it's
Right.
very rare that I have to miss things, and
Oh,
again, like
oh,
you said, I get to spend a lot more time, which is awesome.
I know exactly where you're coming from.
You guys have over 3 billion. Does that sound right? Of face amount, or is it more
Yeah,
than that
something
now?
like that. Yeah, 3 billion. It's just incredible, man, how much insurance that we've written. Sometimes I have to pinch myself just thinking kind of what my dad started and where it's gone from. Just a guy selling insurance in this little town of Sumter to where it's going now. So they got like over 3 billion in force. It's just make you give you goosebumps.
A really hard part in this business is, like, even something that I struggle with is to get to a certain point and to continually
Right,
grow is not easy. Like, just to even
right.
maintain the growth, a lot of times will take continuous work. What are some things that you guys do that really fuels growth at UBI?
My dad still has a burning desire to see people succeed. We just hired a guy last year. He was driving truck, and now he's writing 45,000 a month. And it's not even about the money anymore. Honestly, it's not, but it's more or less having an economic, a social, and emotional impact. We have a foundation called the Loophole Foundation where, a lot of our agents give back to this foundation, and then we can go out and help people in the community. So where you and I are, the company that we represent, is really a once in a lifetime opportunity, man. What we have here is special.
That's awesome. What's some advice you would give to new agents that are considering working with UBI, or getting into even just the final expense industry?
The thing that I try to tell people and get people to look at is, first of all, longevity. How long have they been around? What is their rating? What is their company culture like? And are they financially stable? The longevity and experience is something I would really strongly caution agents about, and the support that they're going to get. You got to have you got to have great support, and you want to look for a place that does provide good, fresh, exclusive, quality leads in the training.
Compliant.
So
Compliant.
yes, compliant leads. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what you want to look for. But the big thing is stability, and how many successful people are at this place. Because Adam, every place has one or two successful people. I don't care what company is. They're gonna be a handful of people that are successful. But when I look at a place like GM, when I look at a place like UBI, and you have hundreds of agents year after year after year after, and these people haven't changed. We have agents that's been working with us 30 years.
That's
They've been here
incredible.
30 years. Matter of fact, there's one guy, he pops his head in my office every now and then. His name is Eddie Scarborough. Eddie started back when I was just getting started. He started back with us in the 90s. He's retired now. And he just pops his head in, hangs out with his grandkids. He's getting his renewals. He's just living life good, man. So I will look around at a place to how many people here are retired, how many people are doing well after they left coming, and how many people have been here more than 2 years, more than 3 years? How many have been here more than 5 years? That's the key things that I look at, that I would look at.
And that was something for me, like, with GM, there's two managers. I won't say who they are, but very hardworking people, dedicated, a lot of time. I think both of them were here over 20 years. And to watch them retire, because that's what, like, JR's always told me, like, Most people don't retire from the insurance business. They usually die in it. They keep working it.
Right,
They,
right,
they,
right.
because they enjoy what they do. These two individuals, I think both of them retired out, and there's last I heard they were still making, like, I don't know, somewhere between like $40,000 and $50,000 a month from that 20 years of time that they put in, right, in the business. And to me, that's exciting for people to say. Again, it's not
Yeah.
easy. That's not going to always be typical either. They're not anything crazy special, right? Like, they're not the best salesperson in the
Right.
world. They're regular people that just worked hard and did it consistently. And over time, they were
Consistently.
able to build up something that's going to pay their family for years and years to come, which is awesome.
I believe I know one of those gentlemen that you're talking about, and I read his retirement letter.
Yeah.
And from what I understand about this gentleman, because he built up such a nest egg, he doesn't even need like a social security check. Another thing too, the culture of a company, and the character of the leader of the company, very important, very important, very important long term.
That was some advice someone gave me when I first got in the business. A gentleman that I knew that did really well, retired out of life insurance, and he did like estate planning and different things of that nature. And he had told me, he's look at a product or look at a program that you believe in, that you can get behind, that you enjoy selling, and he's going to be the best at it, because a lot of these guys want to offer 50 different things, a jack of all trades, master of none, and they end up failing. And
Adam, too, I would tell people, Warren Buffett said, if you're thinking of buying a stock, if you're just thinking of not even keeping that stock for 10 years, don't even buy it for 10 minutes. Like with a company, when you join a company, if you're not willing to give that company 5 or 10 years, don't even go there for 10 minutes.
For new agents, let's say starting with UBI, what are some expectations as far as like them starting, and then maybe income? Okay, what can they expect their first 30, 60, 90 days? What are some things that you guys are usually telling new agents coming into the industry?
Okay, so new agents first coming in, we give everybody a nice healthy contract. We're going to get them exclusive leads, okay? And really coming in, they should be writing within 60 days, they should be writing 8 to 10,000 a month. And within 90 days, we want to have them up writing about 15,000 a month. And we're talking realistically, first year realistically, 80 to 120 a month if they do this right. If they follow the system and they do it right. And if going into their second year, Adam, when they're here year and a half and they're almost completion of year 2, if you're not well over 100,000, then there's something we got to go back and retweak and see what you may be doing wrong or what's going on here. That's
And you
kind of
said
how it is.
80 to 120,000 their first year is what you meant, right? Like
Your first year.
yeah. And
Yes,
that's
sir.
the same thing I've always told people too, is that this is a true 6-figure opportunity, right? It's an opportunity because you've got to do the work. But with the leads, with everything, there's no reason that you shouldn't if you're putting in the time.
Yeah, if you're putting in the time, yes, you got to put in the time. That's what it is.
I've worked with a lot of agents over 16 years, and I would say probably 90% of the time, the ones that fail, it's usually comes down to work, or at least the ones that are at least even decently capable, right, of sales. 9 out of 10 times is that consistency and effort, and working 15 or 20 hours a week and expecting to get paid for 60. Is that something that you guys see as well? Usually when an agent's struggling.
We have a 10 principle rule here. And one of the principles is don't be a cab driver. And that's not to diminish a guy driving a cab or the girl driving a cab or Uber driver, but we try to instill in agents, and what agents need to understand is their time is just as valuable as any attorney, doctor, or dentist. And you have to have your personal life. One of our principles is get right with your family and get right with your company. Those are two of the principles. So you got to get right with your family. And that's going back, getting right with your family, saying this is what we're deciding to do. We're going to go in full bore. Now, your time that day, Adam, I don't know any busy lawyer that you can just go in his office and he's going to knock off and do this and do that and have lunch over here with that person, unless it's a client. You have to have a daily structure, and you are dead right. You have to have a daily structure of hitting those doors. You know, what they have to understand, Adam, is they're running their own business. We try to make people understand that they're a business owner. Again, it's going back to consistency and putting the time in. You have to eliminate the distractions, or you have to compartmentalize. What we try to tell agents is, if your family, if your health is good, and if your children are healthy, your spouse is healthy, there's no major illness in your family, all the other stuff, man, drama that may be going on, you got to put that aside and focus on going out and seeing the people. It's simple. It's that simple.
It's great advice. It's great advice.
Yeah.
And having that good culture, that good mentor. I think my second month in, I had a week where I went 4 or 5 days. I think it was 5 days where I blanked. And being able to reach out to JR, and I said, hey, did they change the leads? And he turned around and laughed. He said, it's not the leads, it's you, right?
That's right. That's right.
Also having enough trust in him, in the mentorship and the people that I was working with, being able to do that. If he says it, it's true, right? Like a lot of people will take it the other way and say, no, it's the leads or it's this or that. And to me, if he says, hey, his word, he'd never give me a reason to not follow his word. You know what I mean? And have trust in what he was telling me, because I knew at the end of the day, the better I do and more money I make, the better he's going to do too. Like we all want to see you win here.
Yeah. Everybody's got a vested interest in seeing an agent succeed. So also too, since we're on this subject, I would tell agents that are first starting, you got to be coachable, brother. You got to be coachable. You have to be coachable.
Yeah. I've got an awesome manager that the first time I met with him, we sat down and I met him halfway. He lives about an hour and a half from where I live. Sounded really good. And we were getting real close to heading out to Germany for the Lincoln trip. And I said, you know what? I've got some time. This guy, he sounds worth it. It's one of those guys you get maybe every few months, guys or gals that just sound really good. And I said, let's sit down and talk. And I said, I've got some things I can do in that area, some other agents I can meet with. Let's sit down. And we sat down at a little Subway, and that was one of the first things he told me he goes, I'm going to do everything you tell me to a T. He's like, you tell me to wear a blue shirt every day. For every single day, I'll do it. I'm going to do everything exactly. And he goes, you know why? And I go, tell me why. And he goes, because I want to know as quickly as possible whether you're full of it or not, right? With what you're telling me is either the truth or not. Because he goes, because he worked for one of our competitors, and unfortunately he'd been told one thing and then it wasn't true, right? And he's I'm going to know in 2 weeks whether this is real or not. And now you flash forward, that was probably, I don't know, 13 years ago or however long it's been. It's been a long time. And I can tell you that gentleman, he's done very well, probably a couple $1 million in renewals, and has built a great agency. What are you guys generally looking for, and what are some things that you set out for someone? Like if I came in and said, hey, I want to come work for UBI, I want to show you that I'm a top producer, what do I got to do to be able to build an agency and grow into a management role?
First, we will look at your characteristics, because really, Adam, management is leadership. Is this person capable of being a leader? And does this person have leadership qualities? We tell people straight up, building a team, it can be hectic, it can be hard. But we look at their leadership qualities, and then we want them to build their account up, show us that you can sell, that you can produce, that you have good persistency, and then we will start to help them recruit, and we'll build them as a manager to how we recruit, how we hold meetings, how we talk to agents. And we'll put them through a personal and professional development program.
That's awesome.
Pretty much. But everybody's not cut out for management. We're not one of the type of organizations that grab everybody and say, hey, we want you to be a manager. I know some companies, they've been doing that for years. Everybody is a recruiter when they come in. Everybody's a manager. No, we don't do that. We just let a lot of people produce on their own. But if we see something in someone, and if they show a strong interest in building, then, hey, that's how we identify it with them.
You mentioned production, but production is not the only thing, right? I can be a great manager. Are you going to promote everybody that's just a big producer into management if they want to go into management?
No, because I've seen great producers. They're great at producing, but it's just something missing where they can't manage, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, they just can't manage. And so we don't want to mess their account up. They get roll-ups or chargebacks and all that kind of stuff. So no, only if they really want it, because it requires a special effort to be a manager.
I've told people too, and that was one of the things JR said that Jack London and Tom London, his dad, told him is, number one, to be a manager, also you have to be able to afford it, right? I got to get to where I can make at least 150 grand my first year. And then what do I got to do? How quickly can I get back to at least $500,000 a year? And when he
Right.
laid it out, that was one of the things that he said outside of doing the work and everything else is you also got to be able to manage your money and your business, because a lot of people, they'll go from where they weren't making any money. And now they're making 10 grand a month, but they're spending 10 grand a month, or they're spending 11 grand a month. And it's like, you can't grow a business if you can't invest back in that business. Do you guys expect, or is there any kind of things that you tell your managers when they're building their agencies as far as what your guys' expectations ideally would be for them to continue to grow?
Yeah. That is so important. We tell people all the time, man, you need to invest back in your business and save 10 or 15% of your money and put some of your money back in your business. And Adam, that's a great point. I talked with an agent the other day that's not affiliated with UBI. This guy was making $40,000 a month, but he was spending $41,000 a month. Now he's no longer with his company, and he's having to start all over again, basically from scratch. Because agents got to understand, especially agents with the advanced commission. That's a loan, right? The advanced commission. Agents think so much about the advanced commission, they don't really think about saving themselves and then building their true earnings. Okay. That's what they don't. Now, and I will say I've been blessed. My sister and I, it's funny you bring this up. My sister and I were talking about this yesterday, is that our dad taught us to save our money. You save your money and you put it back in your business. I just came back from Atlanta. I'm hosting a management retreat in December. Man, it's going to probably cost me about 30 grand to host 30 managers, nice hotel, food, but it's worth it because those folks are worth it. It's me investing back in the business. You'll never make more money with a closed fist. Meaning not putting anything back in your business. And we here at UBI, we do a lot for our management team, but we ask them, hey, you got to put some skin in the game too. You got to put some skin in the game to grow your business. If you're just waiting for UBI to do it, it may grow, but it will grow faster if you put in yourself.
Especially when you're first starting out. I had one agent, I actually seen him pop up on Facebook as a friend suggestion like a week ago. It cost me $96,000 in one agent, right? He rolled that much business. And thank God having that good relationship with Lincoln, they could have said, most companies would have said, hey, Adam, write me a check for $96,000.
Oh, yeah.
And
right now,
at that point in time in my career, it probably would have put me out of business. I wasn't in a position to write him $100,000 check. And Lincoln said, you know what, give us $5,000 a month. I think it was $5,000 or $6,000 a month, whatever it was, and we're going to work with you. To me, that was also a thing of, hey, how great this company is, because I know other people that have gotten run off at other companies, and that's not the conversation that was had.
That's right. And Adam, see, that's going to happen. That's going to happen to almost everybody, right? UBI one time, we got stiff for $1 million with stuff. Now this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and Tom made a deal with us that we could pay. I think it was pay back like $30,000 a month. It was like $30,000 a month for a couple of years or something like that as we were going to keep us in business and stuff. And boom, just being thankful to be with a company like that, where most companies, man, you're out and they're putting you in Vector and you may not get contracted with anybody else.
There's some companies that charge interest too, right? If you owe money.
Oh man. 1%, no more than 12% a year, but they charge 1% interest on your chargebacks, roll up debt, all leads, all that. It's ridiculous.
Wow. It's crazy to think that would be legal, right?
Hey, it's legal. If you sign it, it's legal. They had it drawn up, and people gotta read before they sign the dotted line.
Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about contracts?
Yeah, man, sure. Yeah.
Well, maybe what are some things that new agents should look out for when they're signing a contract? Maybe some red flags.
When someone is running at you at about 110, 120, one this, one that. Okay, how long, what are renewals like on the back end? This is what agents don't understand. And thank God I had a mentor to teach me this. I would give everybody 150% to 130% contract, right?
Yeah.
And I would give you a nice renewal in the second year, cut it third year, and then from 4 through 10, I take everything else. That's a deal. That's a win for me. That's a deal.
Yeah.
But agents, they don't understand that. And secondly, I look at the issue rates too. Okay. Because if you're offering me 130%, but you're only issuing 65%, 70% of the business, then my commissions are drastically cut with you. I look at, again, issue rates, and I look at a company's applications. I've seen, Adam, on some final expense apps, they have questions on there about the driving record. I've seen that on some of them. Yeah. It's one company in particular, their final expense app is 13 pages. Okay. It's 13 pages. Yeah. So, yeah, the commission is 120, right? But the app is 13 pages. I'm not going to deal with that.
A lot of companies don't talk about the product, right? Like I've seen a lot of times where they'll say, oh, you're getting paid 120 on this one product, but you're only going to write that 60% of the time
Exactly.
or 30% of the time, right? You're not going to get that.
Right.
Your other contract's going to be 30% or 40 or 50% lower than what that is.
Okay. So, yeah, that's the word games companies will play. You're exactly right. So you say, oh, I got 130%, but on the commission schedule, you have 130% for that particular super medallion platinum preferred product that you got to be from Krypton to get it issued. You got to be like super healthy, right? To get it issued. But your standard product is it could be 90% or 85%. It could be a huge drastic cut in the commission. But the agent still say, okay, I still got 130%. No, you got 120 or 10 or whatever for that person that's super healthy. Now, everybody else in general population, your contract is 80 or 85%. I've seen a lot of these people, when you look at their renewals, they're only getting renewals like 3 or 4 years. But see, agents aren't taught to think, like you said, 4 or 5 years or 10 years down the road. Yeah, they don't think about 10 years down the road. I talked to a young agent a couple of years ago. He's, man, I don't care what's happening 5 years from now. I just want the first year money. You're not going to be around in the business a long time if you're just thinking about the first year money. Let me give you a good analogy of this too, Adam. You remember the boxing promoter, Don King? Mike Tyson finally left Don King. He finally left Don King because Don King was advancing Mike Tyson like 25 or 30 million a fight, right? But he cut Tyson out of 100 million on the back end with all the merchandising, the TV rights. He was just paying him money from the gate of that night. Yeah, from the gate that night for the people who showed up in Vegas to these fights. But he never got a dime of the cable rights, the selling of the merchandise, the merchandising, anything like that. So our businesses like that, agents gravitate to the first year, okay, and then boom, they don't think about keeping their business on the books in years 2 through 10 and out. So yeah, that's what we try to educate agents on. Also, to your advances, if someone offers you a 120, that's what their super preferred product, which you're never going to write, right? Okay, so then the next one, they say, okay, our standard, you're at 100%. And you're only going to get a 60% advance on that. And you're not getting your back end money. If you're at 100%, and if I'm only advancing you 60% of it, and I'm not seeing anything else on the back end, you're really working on what? 60% contract, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it like that. If you're only getting 60% of the 100 and you never get anything on the back end, the agents don't think about it. You're working on the 60% contract.
We had a guy, I'm sure you guys get the question all the time, like what's the highest contract I can get that, Well, for him, he was with us when he started. He was at an 80%, and I think when he left, he was probably at a 90% contract here for a while. But he said his first year, he was either at an 80 or an 85. he made
Uh-huh.
more money than he made over there with the 125. And it was
Of
because of all
course.
those factors, the lower advance, he goes, a huge chunk of my business being written and it's the commission level so much lower. And then they
That's
tried to
right.
flip it on him like he should be almost like he was being too tied to the application. And I'm doing the right thing. This is your guys' app. I'm not going to lie on
Right.
the application, right?
There was one particular IMO out there. I'm not going to call their name. They were handing out 95s and 115s and 120s like candy. But here's the catch. You got 120% contract, but they wanted you to pay them also $2,500 a week for your leads out of
Yeah.
pocket for the leads. So agents just need to be really educated on a lot of stuff. We offer good, fair contracts from 80% all the way up to 100, 105, 110. It's just based on the agent's production and their persistency. That's how it is with us.
Yeah. Same thing here, right? Same thing here.
And your contract and my contract, we're working pretty much off the same thing. They're real contracts and no gimmicks in them. Okay. If you say it's 100% contract, it's 75% advanced, that's what it's going to be. And you're going to get your back end 25%, provided the business stays on the book. There's no gimmicks to it. Agents are losing a fortune when you don't get paid on the policy fees. That is huge, my man. Policy fees are huge. Now, there's one particular company that I'm thinking of. Their agents lose $84 every time they write a policy because they have a $3.50 policy fee, right? The agent isn't paid on that policy fee. Then they have this kind of service where they try to copy us. There's a $4 policy fee for that. And I've done this on my calculator a million times. If an agent goes out with this carrier and that agent wrote 300 policies a year and they're being docked $84, that's $25,200 in commission that the company has pocketed. Now, imagine this. Now, imagine if you were a manager there. Let's say if you do 1,000 policies a month, 12,000 policies a year, right? All right, times 12,000 times 84, okay, dollars. Dude, that's $1,008,000 in commissionable business
That's
that you're
not being
not being
paid.
paid on, that they're not paying on the policy fee. See, agents don't think about that either. Like I say, if you're doing, even if you're a manager and you were doing 500 policies a month, 500 policies a month times 12 months, you did 6,000 policies a year times $84, right? Okay, that's $504,000 in commission. And I know a company that's doing that every single day of the week. They don't pay on their policy fees and they don't pay on their other little $4 fee that the agent that the agent writes and adds on. They don't get paid on it.
And if it's what I'm thinking of, I believe too, right? If you don't add on one of those services, don't they deduct your commission or don't they reduce your
Oh yeah,
commission?
if you don't add on that service, there's no renewals at all.
Oh, there's no rules. That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
no
damn.
renewals. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about being between a rock and a hard place.
They're going to get their money one way or another. They're going to get it from that $4 fee, right? They're going to get it from that $4 fee, or if you don't sign them up for for that service, you just don't get any renewals out of it. And see, those are another thing that agents don't comprehend.
What happens if you leave that company? Give me a comparison versus Lincoln Heritage versus if I leave and let's say I owe $200,000 advance here at Lincoln Heritage, right? If I've been here for a while.
Okay. So let's say if you were with UBI Lincoln, right? Let's say if Adam Hale worked at UBI Lincoln and you said, Ted, hey man, this has been a great opportunity, but I'm gonna be a venture capitalist and something else. I'm not even doing insurance anymore. And so if Adam Hale owed $200,000 in maybe lead debt and advance debt at UBI and at Golden too, as I believe, I can't speak for Golden, but I'm 99.9% sure. But I know at UBI, when Adam Hale leaves your business, if you have $200,000 in debt there, your business on the books will clear that debt out. Now, after 2 years with us, you're vested. All of your business is going to clear that debt out. And when that debt is cleared out, all that income is coming to Adam Hale and his family. There's nothing Ted Wilson can do about it. There's nothing anybody can do about it. You could tell me to go jump in the lake. You're going to still get your money. At that other company, if you owe $200,000 to them, they're going to send you a termination letter. Let's make this real clear to the people. Let's say if you owe $200,000, but you had $2 million in renewals out there on the back end, right? All right. So once your $200,000 is cleared out with us, then you're going to start to receive your renewals until they run out. With this other outfit, if you have $200,000 in debt and $2 million renewals, they're going to send you a bill for $200,000, and they're going to tell you you have 90 days to pay them the $200,000 back to them. If you do not pay within 90 days, they're going to seize your $2 million in renewals. It all comes back to them. Okay. Now, and even if they, in 90 days, even, let's say, Adam, even if they did work out, and I've seen this and I've heard it from agents, if they worked out some kind of 5 or 6 month payment plan with you, they're going to tack on interest on it. I would never, under any circumstances, sign a contract to where my earnings would be put in jeopardy like that. I've never seen anything like that in the insurance business.
So none of the other companies your dad and you guys worked with before, none of them had that similar clause, 90-day repay?
No, no, never seen that. Now my dad has gotten jilted with companies, again, with the front end stuff and no renewals on the back, or, oh yeah, the contract is real high, but you got to go through hoops to get this business issued, stuff like that, but never a 90-day repay. I've never seen that anywhere in the industry.
Because with Lincoln, it's 12 months, or at least I know with Gold Memorial, it's 12 months. And generally, like when I look at most of our agents' accounts, it's usually about it could be anywhere from like 4 to 6, maybe 4 to 7 months max, like usually where that'll pay out, depending on how long the agent's been here, depending on if they've got a big renewal base. I know we've got several managers that are at like 1 or 2 months, but for most agents, it's going to be in that 4+ month range. It seems like that other company knows what they're doing, right? Like that account's not going to pay out in 90 days. And
that's right. Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. And the more advanced money that you take from them, the deeper and steeper you are in the hole with them. They prefer you to do the 60% advance, no chargebacks. That's another thing too. See, it's 60% advance, no chargeback. But they do have 75% advance, but it's full 100% chargebacks if you do that. So the agent backs off and says, oh, that's full 100%. No, let me take the 60% no chargebacks. They're advancing you 60%, but then the chargebacks are accumulating out here and you really don't see them out there. So the debt is going to be there. It's going to be more than that you can pay back within 90 days. They know exactly what they're doing. If you don't give them all their leads back. So if you've been working with the company, let's say, Adam, let's say if you started working with them 2 years ago, October 2022, right? And you downloaded some leads back in October 2022, and you say, well, okay, I'm done here. I think everything has run its course here. And you got renewals and everything, right? On the back end, they'll say, all those leads that you downloaded, you need to put them in a file and send them back to us. And if you can't find them, then they say, if you can't give back every single lead, we're going to seize the renewals. It's all written. It's all written right in the contract. You just got to read it. It's all written in there in the fine print.
So read the fine print. Moral of the story, right?
Yeah. Read the fine print. If you, and the language is so vague, there are agents with me that left 3 or 4 years ago. They're still getting a pay through check, right? If they went on Facebook or social media and said Ted Wilson's a jerk, or they said this about the home office, Lincoln or whatever, they would still get their pay through. They would still get their earnings. This other
Yeah.
company says if you go online and say anything about us online, we can seize your renewals. It's up to their discretion.
Man, gotta be careful.
I just want agents to understand the insurance business. It's a great business. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And every time you start over, as I've been taught, it's like a 5-year reset. Every time that you go someplace and try to start over, it's a 5-year reset. Okay.
Mhm.
So agents need to understand this is a marathon, not a sprint.
And so what states does UBI offer?
UBI, we offer in the state of Georgia, South Carolina. We are in exclusive in North Carolina. We share Virginia with you guys. We have Maryland is exclusive. We're in Delaware and New Jersey. Those are the states that we do. Those are our territories.
So here in 2024, for any new agents, or if you're watching this in 2025, there's
Yep.
still opportunity with UBI, right?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, there's opportunity. There's opportunity to grow. One of our states, two of our states that we're gonna be hitting really hard is the state of Georgia, always South Carolina, and the state of New Jersey. And all of our states, we plan to grow in all of our states, but there's plenty of growth opportunity at UBI. We're not even scratching the surface. Yeah, it's just growing by leaps and bounds, man. It's $1 trillion business. It really is.
If they do want to learn more about UBI, what would you recommend?
They can call us directly at our office. There's 2 numbers they can use, 803-773-1838, or they can call 803-934-0229, or they can go to our website and they can interview there at our website, or they can reach out to me on Facebook at facebookmentor.com. And whatever state that they're in, we will get a hiring manager in touch with them.
Awesome. And we'll put your website, your link below. I love anytime we get to chat and connect.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
We'll be seeing you real soon here in Rome.
We'll definitely have Rome, man, at the Waldorf Astoria.
Hey, we'll be there. Looking forward to it. I appreciate it, Ted. Thank you so much, man. I'll see you soon. And again, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate all the knowledge you dropped. I'm sure a lot of agents are going to learn from it.
Certainly appreciate it, Adam. And hey, man, I love this podcast. I'm honored to be here. I will be looking for another invite, maybe in 2025. Man, you are a beast in this business. Everybody needs to know your story.
You're the man.